Hello, my crafty friends. Today I am sharing a pull card and a tutorial. This is the card that I made that inspired the tutorial, and it opens like this. Almost like a reverse Z fold. But I'll show you what I used to make the cards. And they started with these note cards. They're from the Paper Studio, which is Hobby Lobby. We don't have Hobby Lobby in Canada, but when I was visiting Arizona, these were on for, I think, like $5 or $5.99. 50 cards and 50 envelopes. So you can't go wrong with that. I think $12.99 for 50 cards and 50 envelopes is a good price, but remember, Canadians were paying at least 30% more with the exchange. So when they were on for $5.99, I bought a couple of boxes. So I bought this one, and that's what I used for this card here. And then I bought this one, which has all kinds of really bright patterns on it. And this is the one that I used for the tutorial. And the envelopes on these are, well, they are kind of lightweight and fair enough for the price of the sets. So they're not bad. I would not be embarrassed to use them, but because they are a lighter weight than I usually use, I use them for my nursing home donation cards. So that comes in very handy. So let me just start with this one. Oh gosh, I love this package so much. There is the different designs that are included inside, and what I love about them is, I think this is the one that I used, yes. So they are, here's the printed note card, this beautiful foiling. They're also printed on the back. Here's one just in deep greens, but again, printed on the back. So being the miser that I am, I usually cut them in half and get 2 panels from each one. Now you can cut them down to 4 by 5 1/4, and if you keep that cut over towards the right, you completely cut off the label, and then you have a very usable panel. So when I saw these ones, I thought that's what I would do. I would, cut them down into rectangles and use them on either white card bases or a different colored card base, or there's so many different options. So this was kind of sitting out on my stamping table because I love the foiling. I love the rose gold foiling, and I thought I would just try to do something with them. And then I had the idea, because I had made a pull card, a 5x7 for Easter, I believe it was, and I really liked it. I knew I wanted to make another one. So then I kind of got playing with turning it inside out and realizing, yes, that would make a lovely Z-fold card, but it would also work for pull cards. So this tutorial is going to show you how to use these A2 size note cards to make the pull cards. Yes, you can do this out of A2 cardstock, but because I have these note cards, that's what I decided to use today. Now, just to go over some of the things that I used here, these beautiful shaker, it's a puffy sticker shaker, and that is, again, very old. If you follow me, you know I love K & Company, and I have had these for years in my stash. Trying to figure out what color went with the rose gold, and I decided I liked that pop of red, so I managed to use some of these. Now there's still a little bit of stick on them, but I didn't trust it to adhere down completely, and they are plasticized. So I pulled out my Beacon 3-in-1, man, that holds these plastic things down perfectly. It is a solvent-based glue, so I don't use it for a lot of my crafting. Plus, it's a little bit expensive, and you go through a lot of it. So I save it for things like plastic-ish embellishments. So I did that, and that's how I got my card done. And the Enjoy Your Special Day is from MFT. I've had it for years, likely retired. There's that, and I stamped it just on a white banner there. Now this scallop here, that is the stitched scallop circle. It's from Pink Fresh Studios. Oops, let me pull this out here. So I would have used this smaller one. It comes 2 to the package, and I die cut it out of the front of the note card and then saved the fall away pieces. Because there is a stitched line on either side of the cut line, you get the scalloped circle, and then you also get the reversed scallop circle. So I added the scallop circle here. We'll talk about adding things when I do the tutorial. So this is the inverted scallops there, and this is the piece that would have come from inside, and I've just hung on to it for I don't know what. Maybe I'll punch a butterfly for it or something, but hey, it's rose gold and it's foiled, and I will use it for something. So I added the frame to a white circle and then popped it to a red stitched circle, and that is the double stitch circles from Divinity Designs. And again, you get a stitch line on either side of the cut line. I always love that. With love on your birthday is tailored expressions. They're every birthday. And I think that's all I used on this one. Scraps of red cardstock just for a pop of color inside. And when I added this banner, because this is raised up, I added foam tape. I don't know if you can see it. Foam tape on either end, but nothing inside. Well, you wouldn't have adhered anything there anyhow because you want the card to open. But I did add the foam tape on either side, and that allows it to lift over my little puffy shaker there, and I have a fun birthday card that I can send out made using note cards. I know it does use 2 note cards, and if you are like me and that kind of makes you cringe to use 2 up on one card, if you were using cardstock, it would be the same thing. You would be using almost a full sheet of cardstock. So in the end, I'm happy enough with the card, and so I decided let's do a tutorial on it. So we'll stand that one there. I'm going to clear some stuff off here, and we'll get started on the tutorial. So this was the second box of note cards that I had bought, and I had made an ice cream card not too long ago. I shared it on my blog, and this was the stitched panel that I cut out of it, and so I saved the extra pieces just in a plastic card envelope. And here is another note card. You can see they're patterned front and back, and because I did some punching out of it, I will save it for adding embellishments. I love the bright cheerful colors. I thought this would work really good for my nursing home donation cards. And that yellow one, I'll show you it here. So it's patterned on the back, and there is the label on the back there, but it just has the border on the front. So for my ice cream card, I used the Divinity Designs matting rectangle, which just cuts a smidge shorter than an A2, and I die cut that from this front piece, added it to a white card base, and then I had this piece left over, which is this piece here. And then I took my stitched rectangle and I die cut the stitched rectangle from the back, popped it onto the front, and then added my ice cream cones on the front. But I didn't want to throw that away because that makes really cute fishtail banners or matting for sentiment strips or whatever. So I did save that and store it right in with my note cards. So those are the bright cheerful colors, and that's the set that we're going to use today for the tutorial. And these are the 2 that I chose. So the bright kind of confetti, the cheerful colors, and I decided to use 2 different ones. You can use 2 of the same. I just like the way they went together. So lots of different ways you can change this up. So you're going to need 2 note cards, and they're the 2 A2 size note cards. Put down the one that you're going to use on the front, and the one on the inside you're going to cut 1/4 inch off the top and 1/4 inch off one side. So I like to put it in my trimmer with the fold at the top, and I cut off 1/4 inch, and then I rotate it counterclockwise and make one more 1/4 inch cut, and then I know I'm done. So those are what we're going to use, and through the magic of working ahead off screen, I have those done already. So there is my full-size note card that's going on the outside, and here is the one that I trimmed the 1/4 inch off of, and I will just discard those. So the one that's going inside, I mean, they come with score lines, so you're just going to fold it in half, inside out with the pattern on the inside, and then you're going to make a score line down the center. So because we've already trimmed it, and we know this is 4 inches, the score line is 2 inches. So I'm not sure if it shows up on camera, but there is a score line. I decided to pre-score it, and you're going to fold it like this. And I did bring a bone folder over. And there is going to be the inside of your pull card. So it's just going to fit inside like this. And because you've trimmed it down, it will leave you kind of a nice border around all 3 sides. So that's done. We can set that aside, and now working on the front of your card or the outside of the card, you're going to die cut a shape in the center. So once again, I used the Divinity Designs double stitch circles, and you can see that I have a stitched line on the inside and a stitched line on the outside. So one pass through your machine and you get those additional details. So I did do that off camera, and then I just used removable tape to tape it back on. And then again, I pre-did the elements. I have a little ice cream cone. I make ice cream cards for my family every July, and I thought this was really cute. I didn't need any more this year, so this one will actually be put aside for next year, but I always like to have some ahead because summers get busy. But this was a tradition that my mom had with my grandpa. And every year in small town Nova Scotia, there was a parade in their town. And grandpa would take mom for an ice cream soda after the parade. And when she got married and had my brother and I, she made sure we always had ice cream on that specific day in July. There was no parade, but we had our ice cream. And we continued that all through our growing up years. When mom and dad stopped driving, my husband and I made sure that we had ice cream for them, and I always made sure that my kids had ice cream on that specific day in July. And now even our grandkids do it. We can't all be together, but like this year, we were spread out all over, and we all took pictures of having our ice cream and toasted to my mom for a really great tradition for July. So that is what this card is going to be, and for that I used this Stampin' Up! Punch. I'm not sure if it's available or discontinued, but that is the punch that I used, and there was also a coordinating stamp set, Sweet Ice Cream. I used the decoration for the cone on that one. If I have little extra things, I just tuck them inside the plastic envelope so that, if I go to make them, I've got a couple of punched ice creams already there. I'm going to move that aside, and then the Treat Yourself. Oh, that came with that set. Treat Yourself. And then this yellow here, that's where I cut a piece, or you can see actually tore a piece off. It is the stitched sentiment strips from Cat Scrappiness. So I just tore that section of the frame off and die cut it. So the yellows coordinate, the papers all coordinate. And I told you there's lots of good ways you can use these leftover pieces. So I did that ahead of time, and I have a white stitched circle, which is it the same? Yeah, and it's the same size as the one that I die cut from the front. So once you have established which one is going to be your outside and which one is going to be the inside, and you've trimmed off 1/4 inch from the top and the side of your inside card, you have reversed it so it's inside out, and with the fold on the right hand side, you've scored it down the center at 2 inches. You are ready to die cut a shape from the front. So this one I used a straight circle. You could use a square. I would be a little bit leery of maybe a square, the corners getting caught, but circles, ovals, you could even do a couple of them down, which I think would be really cool, and it's on my list of things to try. So like a couple of circles and then have different things showing through on this one. But let's remove this right now. We're going to adhere this inside first, and so for that I'm going to use my Barely Arts glue. I have the pin that keeps the glue from drying out, a hairband on the glue bottle, which was a tip from a viewer. Thank you very much. I use that all the time, and I stick my pin in upside down because if I put my pin in this way, I stab myself. So my pin is in upside down, and I have a glass yogurt jar with a damp paper towel, and leaving my glue in that stops the glue from drying out as I'm working, and I don't need to continually take the pin in and out, and the elastic band saves me from losing the pin. So with your inside piece, we're going to put adhesive on the back side. You can use ATG gun, you can use dry adhesive, you can use wet adhesive, you could use like a tape. It doesn't really matter. It's all going to be adhered down. I'm going to use dots of glue because I find dots of glue hold very securely, but I don't get much seepage. And I'll just do a little squiggle on the inside. And now I want to be mindful that I get it with this Z-fold piece on the right hand side. I'm just going to add it inside my card here, and with the wet glue I have a little bit of wiggle room, so I'm wanting to make sure that I have a pleasing border or an even border on the outside edge. So here, those are all, I got a little bit of glue on my fingers there. It's a nice thing about the Barely Arts glue. You rub it off, it's done. You don't have sticky fingers like you would, say, with the Tombow mono adhesive, the green jarred one. That glue makes me insane. Holds really well, but I hate being sticky. Now I'm just going to use my bone folder and just make sure that everything is adhered down really well. And because you've already cut your aperture out of the front, there you go. You can see through to the inside And that's, you can see how quickly these go together and the different variety you can make with them. And as I said, I've done it in a 5x7. You follow the same principles for different card sizes. I think I might have even done a mini slimline. I've either done a mini slimline or it's on my list to do. We were on a 5-week cross-Canada camping trip, which was awesome, but I got really far behind on my paper crafting and tutorials, and I'm scrambling to catch up for my nursing home donation cards. And honestly, sometimes I can't remember if I just had these ideas and wrote them down or if I actually made the cards. So I'll have to check on that. We're at the point now where we want to decorate the inside, and that's where this comes in. So you could use something different if you want. You could choose a different pattern or whatever, but since I cut it out and it fits that opening perfectly, that's the one I'm going to use. And it's going to adhere. I just popped it through the window so that it's not skewed by, if I put it just on here and hope for the best, you can see it could be skewed. But you obviously don't want to put adhesive all over the back or you will adhere your card closed. We just want adhesive on this side here. So I'm actually going to put the adhesive through the window, and then I know I have everything placed exactly where I want it to. So I'm going to stay about a 1/4 inch away from that edge. I don't want it to bleed over. So there's my little glue dots. Now, if you were very particular, you could make a note and line up those dots so that they were exactly where they came out of. Some patterns, like if you were, say, doing florals or leaves, that would be easier to do than with this very random confetti pattern. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to slide it back through the window opening, press down, and there I have my little decorated panel. It fits in, and then you pull it open like that. Oh, that just makes me happy. Now I've added thin foam tape to my ice cream cone, and then I've got thin foam tape on here, and sometimes this thin foam tape can be a bit of a bugger to get off. Not always, but sometimes, and I figured it would be for me trying to do it on camera. It's really going to give me grief. There we go. So pull off that, and then I can decide kind of whereabouts I want my ice cream. I want the stitched circle centered, and I do want the ice cream cone at just a little bit of an angle. So we're going to say right there, but I wouldn't want it too far down, like so it would fit underneath the window there. I like the look of being able to see the whole thing, but again, that's up to you. You can do you. So there's the Treat Yourself stamped on heavyweight white cardstock and adhered with foam tape. So let's again fight with this foam tape. And I finally got a little corner that I'm hoping I can just, there we go, pull it off. And then I have, foam tape ghiblis on my tweezers that I'll have to clean off. And for that, I just use hand sanitizer. I keep a little bottle of hand sanitizer in my craft room. So I have some foam tape here. I don't want that to pop up over the window so that you can see it. And I didn't bring over my mini Misty ruler, so I'm going to have to eyeball this. I think I like it there. That works for me. So my front is done. There's the pull card on the inside. And as far as a sentiment goes, this one is the same size circle, but you can use a smaller circle or a different shape inside. I just like the idea that it is hidden until the card is actually opened and you pull that side. So here I'm adding some more glue. I will be writing a personal message on it, so I haven't stamped a sentiment on there at all. Close the card over it, drop it in just loosely. I'm not pressing it down because I want to make sure it's hidden. And it is, but I might just, I might scooch it over just a smidge over to the inside of the card and down just a little. So you can see it's just a little bit over, because then I know it's hidden until you pull this open and reveal. So we'll make sure that's pressed down good, and there is my card. I will probably add some enamel dots. I brought these ones over. They are, of course, by Doodlebug. Man, I'm such a Doodlebug fan. Summer assortment, I've had them for a very long time. But I'm thinking the yellow ones might be cute on there. I need to think on it a little more, so I decided not to add them on camera here. But there is a pull card. This one will be in my stash, so I'm ahead of the game for next year. And then the more elegant one, I'm thinking these would also make really lovely Christmas cards. Lots of people like to put a little bit more effort and do a fun fold or whatever for their Christmas cards. So there you go. 2 completely different pull cards made using note cards, printed note cards. Hopefully you have some in your stash and you can just start to play right away. If you enjoyed my video today, please give it a thumbs up. That really helps YouTubers out. I will have a coordinating blog post where supplies are listed and some will be linked. And that's it for me today.